We ride the night, blinded by the city light. I wish I could make it without you, my funky one. We met when I was 17, tempted by the city scene. My innocence has been gone since then, I'm too far gone. So come on, 'cause I'm gonna go down, going down to the Junkie Junction. You get your fix at the Junkie Junction. You can find your bag of tricks at the Junkie Junction. When you found a new way of life, risk it all just for magic pills. The lawman said to shoot to kill. Well, it's not my fate, it's not your fault. Come on, 'cause I'm going down to the Junkie Junction. You get your fix at the Junkie Junction. You can find your bag of tricks at the Junkie Junction. When you found a new way of life. Mother wishes I just stayed at home. Suburban life's just not for me. Once I started, I just couldn't stop at all. It's under the hill, it's where I'll be. So come on, come on,
Guys, happy Friday. You can't see our Larry in our comments because he's here live and in person in the studio tonight. Happy Friday. Hope everybody had a great week. We did. Tired of this rain, that's for damn sure. I'm sick of it.
Like Willie Vanilli said, don't blame it on the rain.
Yes.
I missed them. I enjoyed that group. Even though they were frauds.
Even though they were frauds.
Even though they were frauds. I found them entertaining.
They lip sing very good. But if anybody is out there and they're struggling or having a hard time, please feel free to pop in the comments or to give us a call at 267-737-8031, and we will be happy to share our oh my god, I can't think of it. Our strength, yeah. Yeah.
That too, yeah.
She hasn't been sitting right since the eclipse.
No, I haven't.
I told her don't look directly into the light. She did.
I didn't do that during the eclipse, but the next day I did.
I'm practicing for the next one.
Yeah, I'm telling you. But we're here. We're just hanging out with Lara. We're going to be talking recovery and sharing our experience, strengths, and hopes. And if you are out there and you are listening and can't get into the comments, just hit like and share and subscribe, and you can get the comment feed. We do not make any money off of this. We don't make any money off of any of the things that we're doing, and we don't accept any money. So
we do accept casseroles, though. If you want to make a casserole and drop it off, I don't. Much appreciated.
We're just here to, help the next person out there that might be struggling with either an active use in recovery, or the family or friends that love them. That's what we're here for tonight. So feel free to pop in, and we're here listening. We brought Larry in because He always has
because he volunteered to come in.
because he always has something
We always count on him for something
positive to
positive,
share.
new, different.
Yeah. So
It seemed we were struggling.
yeah, we have been struggling a lot lately trying to get something fresh, something new, and it just hasn't been coming around. So
All our friends have recovered.
yeah,
Or say they have.
yeah.
Bum, 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 bum,
So feel free
bum.
to pop in the comments. We're here listening, and
And we're going to take it to Larry. Larry, what's on your mind?
Okay.
What do you got to share?
Well, I picked a couple ditties out of the my Zoom meeting. They had a couple topics. The one thing was one day at a time. Realistically, well, I'm going to start with that because it's going to lead into, I guess I could call my main story. But the one day at a time thing, in the beginning for me, it sounded great and sounded doable. But, later on I found that it takes some work to do it. It took work to stay one day at a time, especially that pink cloud beginning where, sure, it was easy. I was Mr. AA. I went to rehab. I haven't had a drink in a month, and I feel really good about myself. And I'm so happy, pat myself on the back. Then came the relapse, and because I didn't do the program, and it came the realization that, the second time around, one day at a time is the right way to do it. At least for me, it was. You hear people say, well, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time. Hey, whatever works, works. And for me, it was the one day at a time. And the one day leads to the next day. It's amazing how over time the day becomes a week, month, years. So I have a little over 7 years sober. Not that I'm patting myself on the back, but it's just the fact that it started one day at a time. And I've talked to other people who have a lot more years than I did and who relapsed, because they didn't follow the basic rule of, this is a lifetime situation, this is a lifetime commitment, and it is one day at a time. And I have to realize that, sure, people think, well, if I had a drink now, I could handle it. Well, I don't do that anymore because I know what I did the first time. I thought I handled it and I couldn't handle it. And what happened was, relapse, back to the square one again. But this time, I surrounded myself with people in recovery. I got a sponsor. I went to meetings. Time went on. I began to speak. I began to open up. I began to feel more confident about myself and realized that I had to work this program to stay where I am today. And it is every day. Sure, drink, comes into my thoughts once in a while, but, that's once in a while. I don't get all fidgety and crazy like I did, the first time around.
hey Barb, hey Stacy.
So,
Hello, Barb. Hello,
that one
Stacy.
day, realistically, it is one day at a time, and one has to stick with that program. That, every day is a new day, is a new beginning, and new temptations, too. Things used to bother me or presume bothered me that I would let build up and be any, then I called them reasons. Now I find out they're just excuses to grab a drink, to bury myself, forget about it, only to find out hours later, after I come out of my stupor, that the problems are still there and nothing's been done other than I wasted a day or 2 days or 3 days getting wasted. And it was, it was terrible. And the stuff built in my head, like I said that 1,000 times in meetings, and with so much stuff swirling around in my head that, I couldn't solve anything, or maybe I didn't want to. But, as time went on, as I did the program, things began to clear up. And, stick with the program. I needed help from outside. And the old mouth shut and ears open routine, that's what I did. And, right now things are going good for me. And, the reason I want to talk about the one day at a time and realistically is a couple weeks ago, I got a phone call from a person that I knew from my first rehab. And she was in a terrible state. We haven't talked in years. And all of a sudden I get this call and I recognize the last name but the first name was a man's name, and I said, well, I know the last name, but I don't recognize the first name, so I just let it go. Then I get a message, and it's this person who, I went to rehab with, and she seemed to be doing well after rehab. We would go to meetings, go out to eat together. I met her husband, her family. I had cookouts there, and everything seemed to be fine. But as time went on, you know how it goes. You lose touch. I called a couple times, left a few messages, got no answer. I said, okay, maybe that's it. Time's up. Time to move on. Then this was like at least 10 years ago. At least 10. And then I get this phone call from her, and like she's like really desperate, and she's like in a panic.
Thank you, Irvin. I was looking good. Sorry, didn't mean to derail.
It's all right. And she was in a very desperate mood. You could hear the desperation, almost crying, in her voice. And she said, first of all, she apologized for not getting in touch with me, which to me wasn't really important. I figured, well, move on. You don't need to talk to me every day for years to come. But, she said that, she's in a terrible state. Her husband left her and took the dog and moved out, and, he's using everything, he can against her, and he's making up stories to tell her daughter how bad she is. And she said that, well, he was forcing me to drink beer, and I, and now I'm drinking again, and, I need help, and I don't know what to do. I told her, well, do you have any, like, psychiatrist or something like that? Yeah, I see a therapist, but I can only see him once a month or for like 15 minutes. And then I said, well, how about meetings? You can go to meetings. I don't have a car. I don't have my license. I can't go to meetings. A friend used to take me. And I'm picking up a pattern here where I was starting to make suggestions, but I was getting blocked. And I picked that up right away, and I'm like, oh, please, don't be this kind of conversation. Well, it turned out to be that way. And I told her about getting online and going to meetings there, Zoom meetings. I go to Zoom meetings every day. I don't know how to use a computer. I'm not computer savvy as I am. Me? I said, I'm 72 years old. I barely know how to turn it on, let alone do everything. I know how to get to a meeting, and it's very easy. You get on, hit Zoom meetings, AA, and you can get any kind you want. The traditional, the agnostic, any kind. Pick a topic and pick what works for you and get on there. But then she said, "Oh, I had one of my eyes had a cataract operation, and a friend used to take me to get my medical marijuana, and I can't get it now." And I said, "What about Uber?" And, she made some excuse about Uber, and things just going on and on. And I told her about meetings and online. Yeah, but if my husband finds this out, he's going to use that. Tell my daughter he's going to use it against me. So I come up to the conclusion. Not that it didn't take long. I come, okay, I'm getting blocked at every. No matter what I say, I'm getting blocked at every angle. So we talked about a half hour or so, and she said, "Can I call?" I said, "Yeah, call me anytime." She used to call me when she was, in a fix at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and I would always answer because I tell people, it's not a 9 to 5 situation, being in recovery. I said, anytime you want to call me, call me. It's not a problem for me. And I'll call you the next day. Like I said, that was like 2.5, 3 weeks ago. Haven't heard from her. And the dilemma with me is I want to reach out and I want to help this person. I really do, because I know when she was, sober and somewhat happy, and things seemed to be okay. And it wasn't like a step 13 thing for me. It was absolutely no way. She was married, had kids, and I had no interest in that. If she had interest in that, I sure missed the bus on that one because I didn't see anything in that. But I never got the call back. And the thing with me is like, I want to reach out and get in touch with her, but I can't cross that line either. I can't, there's a boundary here where, best scenario, I'll go up and I'll get her and I'll take her to a meeting and this and that and everything will work out great. But it doesn't work that way. And not for me. I was taught that if I'm the one with the problem and I need help, I have to reach out. I can't let somebody, somebody won't come to me with what's happening with me. I have to reach out to that person. So I'm kind of biting my lips and standing back, waiting for this person to call. To get, like, if you want it this bad, you have to take that first step. I cannot take it. And I'm just waiting to see if she ever calls back. And I'm chopping at the bit. I want to call her. I want to text her. I want to see what's going on, but I can't.
Definitely. I know your situation there. It's the truth.
I cannot do that. And it drives me crazy sometimes because, I see people relapse. Hey, you're talking to one relapser here. And I want so much to, help this person because I knew this person, on a more personal basis than a lot of other, people I'm in recovery with. And there's very few people you get to know personally. And, you feel like, I want to do this. I want to help this person. I'm going to wave that magic wand, Tinkerbell. And,
I want to fix you.
Yeah. Ding, you're cured. But that doesn't work that way. So now I just sit here and wait and hope for the best. Knowing that, I set my boundary. And now I have to wait and see what happens. So that's that story.
Yeah, that's definitely a great point there you make though, but you gotta have the patience and bite your lip. You can't do it for them, they gotta make the first step, take the initiative to embrace their own recovery. It's like we can make suggestions and kind of lead them, but you can't do it for them. That's definitely for sure. It could become very frustrating.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. And another one that was, what brought you to AA? What are you doing to stay? Well, it goes back to what I said in the beginning too. AA, and what brought me to AA was desperation. I was tired of living the life I was living, if you call that living. Was it just a slow death? And I went to recovery house. I went to rehab. I went to recovery house. Had to do the things that I needed to do. But that was just the beginning. That was just the steps to keep me going. And why are you doing it to stay? Well, I do it to stay because I knew the first time around, if I don't stay on this thing every day, 24 hours a day, things drift apart. My thinking starts getting sick again. Mm-hmm. And what will happen is,
the stinking thinking.
Yeah. All these little things that, turn out to be big things in my mind. And what will I do? Eventually, I'll need an escape. And how did I escape the first time? Yeah. It was drinking. It used to be, get high and stuff, but that was mostly a party thing then. But the escape part was later on in life when I would drink to escape. And I know a little bit.
The numb.
Yeah, I know that a little bit better now. That every day, and I don't have to be front and center at these meetings. If I have something to say, I'll say it. Most of the time, I just sit back and listen. And if something hits a nerve, I'll go, oh yeah, let me share on that. Let me talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
But in these meetings, you see a lot of young, especially the Zoom meetings, there are a lot of younger people, not younger, but newer in sobriety. They're all different ages, from their 20s to their 60s, trying to get this thing down, trying to change their lives for the better.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, I've seen a lot, and you can make friends too on these Zoom meetings, and I do, because every time I wear a different rock T-shirt, and people make comments about that. But it's kind of like a lure too, that people open up and talk. Eventually they'll talk about the situation, but they talk about life and talk about things that people might think, well, that has nothing to do with recovery, but pretty much does. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Once you learn the communication, once you learn how to talk, it doesn't always have to be about rehab or AA meetings or the big book or the steps.
Right, exactly.
It just has to do with life in general, just life itself.
Just being able to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And have a relationship that doesn't get in the way of all the shit that's going on in your head.
Yeah, and make stupid, dumb jokes and stuff like that before the meeting, and it's everybody could feel, even though we're on a screen and it could be thousands of miles away from each other, it's still you feel something. You feel the camaraderie. You feel like a friendship, and you're not afraid to open up. Especially me, God, I can't shut up half the time, but
He's like a church mouse usually. You don't even know he's there.
don't say mouse. They were renovating the house next door, and a mouse snuck into my house. I've been after him for 2 weeks. I set all kinds of traps and all.
I'll send my cat over. My cat is a mouser.
And it's like, he comes out and looks at me too. It's like, you son of a trap here, trap there. I'll get him.
They're
Yeah.
very elusive.
Yeah.
They are.
Our Hobby Lobby cat is definitely a good mouser.
Yes, she is. She's
My wife went for glue sticks and came home with a kitten.
yes, and now she's a fat cat. And,
But man, she's a mouser. She got the patience, boy. We got a mouse issue. The whole neighborhood's got a mouse issue. We got
yep.
because of one neighbor. I'm gonna get into that, but
Yeah.
man, we used to get an occasional one here and there. The first 20 years we'd never seen one.
Barb says she appreciates you.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that too.
We appreciate Larry too. We don't take
Yeah.
him for granted.
And we're part of the family group, as you all know, and that's so awesome because Larry also attends, and especially the newer people that are there can actually,
They enjoy his perspective.
understand their side of
And he
it.
smells very nice. Is that a new cologne you're wearing that I use?
Yes, it's Gravite. Yes, it's got that woody refreshing.
I noticed it. I noticed the
Next
difference.
time I'll wear the other stuff too.
The high karate was nice for a
Yeah.
while, but now this is
Yeah.
new.
Yes. And Stacy, she's been part of this for a long time, and she finds her zen in painting rocks, and you have to find whatever it is that helps you get to where you need to be, and just like meetings, you have to find the meeting that works for you, whatever that meeting should be. It's so important that you find that particular niche so that you have a place to go, you have someone, a group that you can get acquainted with and be able to do things with and be able to talk to, because they always say, it's getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that's hard for a lot of people.
It really is. But once you get over that phase, I mean, it becomes a lot easier.
Especially the beginning.
The beginning's rough.
It was rough for me too when I first started to go AA meetings the second time around and all. And I didn't want to say boo, and I just sat there and people would talk, whatever the subject was. If they were doing readings or just picking a topic, and it took me a while to open my mouth. And after a while, it took me a long time to put like 2 sentences together in my mind to think, well, I'm not making sense at all out of this. I'm
Right.
sure the other people think I'm, who's this clown? But they'll relate, they all went through the same phases too. And once you, comfortable with being uncomfortable, I can open up about what I did in life, when I was drinking, all the horrible stuff I did, and, things I can't change, and things, I don't dwell on anymore. I
Right.
could share it, but I don't let it obsess over it. Yeah. Take that peek in the past once in a while, but don't try to live
Don't
through
live in
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as you sit there, you'll start to hear similarities.
Oh,
to your
yeah,
own
definitely.
issue. And it's like, wow, I'm not the only one going through that.
Yeah.
So apparently,
Yeah.
I'm not as effed up as I thought.
Yeah. Oh wow. I didn't believe in that, but look, listen to them. They're doing what they need to do, and they did it by following that approach. That 12-step program, whatever program it is that you're working. So that one person that hears something, just that one little thing that somebody mentions, wow, that resonates with me, and maybe I should open my ears and start listening and following the program and see how far it can take me. And,
Funny. Michelle was saying, have you ever thought of a guest speaker to mix it up, or a family member of an addict? We've had whole families in here of an addict. I mean, over the years, we've had quite a few families come in and talk about, their addict or in their life, or their person with a substance use disorder. Yeah, we've been doing it over 2 years. Some of our shows have been very engaging. We've had a whole family. I had one family in here when it was a great night.
yeah.
And we've had Swerve and Irvin in here with his lady friend talking about, his experiences and hers with his experiences. And it's nice to hear someone else's story, and you start to feel more normal about your own issues. I mean, but yeah, I don't know where you're located, Michelle. I mean, I don't know if she's local?
She's local. She would be honored to come in.
Oh yeah, you're welcome.
On the show.
We got a pretty fancy place here. With the top-notch sound studio that we.
Yeah, come on in. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, we'd love to hear. We'll have Larry in that night too. We'll have a big round table discussion. How's that?
I'll tell you.
Put a camera out in the live room out there. We'll have a big round table. I just like that expression.
I'll be Sir Galahad, the Chaste.
Round table. The knights.
Yeah. I doubt the Chaste, but we won't
Recovery
get into
of
that
the round table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Round table recovery. Oh, I like it. It's got a ring.
Yeah.
Round table recovery.
I would love to do that one time, just to have different perspectives.
Yeah, have a big like the View.
Yeah.
No, never The View.
But with personality.
No.
But we gotta have straps on our hands and fingers so we don't. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't think this.
You can't handle the truth.
So it'll start off nice, and everybody will be polite.
I can write that down. Round table recovery. It's got a ring though. I like it. I smell a mug or a T-shirt.
I can make them, yeah.
Yeah, just like all the TV shows have their little mugs and all,
Yeah, like Regis
Yeah.
used to have. We have a Regis and Kathy Lee mug in the up with the coffee
We had
mug.
2, but we're down to 1.
Yeah, we had 2. Then we had a Kelly and Michael mug or something.
No, not Kelly. I have to get one because that's my favorite show.
Yeah, we're not together no more.
Get 2 the thrones you guys can sit on as the hosts.
No, my wife only allows one throne in the house for herself. The rest of us minions, we sit in folding chairs.
Okay, here's another one. Amends are actions to forgive oneself, and that's another thing too that we picked up at the meeting. When you start making that list and start making your amends. It's not only for that person too. It's for it's for yourself. It's got to get that off your chest. I did something to this person or those people, and you gotta face them. You gotta face whatever the situation was, whatever the problem was, and let them know how you feel. Let them know that you were part of it, that I was part of it too, that I needed to make, talk about it and ask, forgiveness if it needs forgiveness. But it's part of the getting it out. It's one thing to write it down and talk about it, but you have to keep going. You have to let it, the people I've hurt, you can tell I'm Italian, I'm starting to talk with my hands, but, And,
That's a spicy meatball.
Yeah, you put my hands down, I'll be all night. But it does feel good for oneself too. Once the amends are made, and you think back on it, and say, "Phew, I finally got this thing out of my mind, and addressed the person or whatever the situation was that caused this, resentment, and how it started, why it started, and but it's done."
And Barb says that was the hard thing to do.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people out there that have gone through the steps of the making the amends, a lot of times that can put them right back into a relapse, because they start bringing up all the shit in the back and in the past, and they just don't understand once they get it out and they get to that place how freeing that can be, and how how much faster you get to move ahead once you get that out. And I know I lived with resentments because of my dad. And, you know, unfortunately, before I got to this point of education and learning and knowing that he couldn't help himself with this disease, that, you know, he passed away before I could really forgive, you know, my resenting him for that. So, you know, you do it now when you can. Don't wait for it to be too late. And
Yeah, the sooner the better.
It's never too
yeah,
late.
and it is. It's once you get that stuff out, it's so freeing, because, you know, when you're holding that in, that just builds up and builds up and builds up until it either, you know, comes out in anger and, you know, frustration, or you pick up and go back to where you were. So it's so hard. And I know stepping into the first meeting for me, being a family member, was difficult, but at the time my sister was in town and she walked in with me, so that was also very helpful for me. And that, you know, do that. If you're struggling to get to that first meeting, find somebody to go with. Raise your hand, like, come on, I need help. I need somebody to get me to that place, and just sit and listen for a while, and it will be very helpful to you.
Yeah, don't be afraid. You gotta take that first step.
Most people in recovery are stoked to help other people. They're like,
Yeah,
that other people help them, and they want to give back and kind of help someone else
Yeah.
along to get to where they are.
the feeling is so good. Believe me. You know, from when I started, you know, confused and afraid, paranoid about what's going to happen, to finally getting down to the work and having other people who help me. And the whole attitude, my whole attitude changed.
Right.
Didn't happen overnight. Didn't happen at a snap of the finger, but things got better. The first couple of years was basically nothing. You know, I did the work that needed to be done, but wasn't feeling anything really. And as time went on, as things began to get better in my life, and I found out the more I let out, the better things got. You know, you let it out, the good stuff comes back to you. Then you see that next person who comes in who's new and who could be struggling and could be talking. We have in our in-person meeting, we have a couple new people, and they are coming back and they're learning, and they you feel, you know, you could see the uncomfortableness in the beginning, but even after a month, 2 months, you could see a more relaxed person there, a person who's not afraid, who is willing to open up a little bit. And they won't dive over and open up altogether, but a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. And all I can do is share my experience and what worked for me. And, you know, they'll pick up some things and other things they won't be so hot about. But it is that sharing, it is that giving, it is that, you know, you're not, you know, unique here. You know, your story might be a little bit different, but just a little bit different. We're basically all the same people who fell in the same hole. We just took a different slide down to the bottom.
Yep.
And, you know, reach that hand out, because there'll be hands there to help you get out. And like meetings, like I was talking about, traditional, agnostic, atheist meetings, you know, it's like you're at that crossroads, and every road is different. But you pick a road. You pick the road you think is going to work for you. And if you travel down that road and it doesn't work, you can back up and you can take the other road till you find your niche, till you find the place that works for you. But the key thing, and I keep saying it to people, the key thing is you just keep on walking. It's like that old story, tortoise and the hare. You know, you're the hare. And if you're going to run, you know, get through recovery, you know, don't step on the side and fall asleep, because that turtle alcoholism, for me, it just keeps on coming slowly but surely. It won't go faster, but it won't go slower either. And if
Don't
you don't,
necessarily pick that road of less resistance.
yeah,
I just had to throw it
Yeah.
in there because it sounded cool.
that's cool. Yeah, okay. But you keep going, and the more I got into the program, we'll say the more my pace increased. So I separated the distance between me and alcohol. But like I said just a couple seconds ago, you have to keep going. You have to keep working that program. You don't have to go to every meeting and shout hallelujah and all, but you have to realize I had to realize where I am and how I got here and how I'm going to keep going. Because if I get on the roadside and fall asleep again, I know what's going to happen. It's going to catch up to me, and I'll be back to where I was in the beginning. And that beginning again will be my end. I don't have a third time in me. I don't think I do either.
And I know I've shared this often, but when we would go to the meetings at Live and Grin, and they would bring the patients in, and we would hear their stories, they would hear our stories, how similar we are, because those that are struggling with substance use disorder is just like the family members who chase them. They are our drug. And it's just so crazy how each of us have the same outcome and the same feeling about, that chase. And you would hear them come in like, this is my fifth one. This is my fifth rehab. And, I was doing well. I was doing great. I had a sponsor. I went to meetings. I did this and I did that. And, and then, I felt that I didn't need the meetings anymore. So I didn't go, and I stopped talking to my sponsor. And that's when I know that, I was struggling and ended up relapsing again, and now I'm back again, and I need to get back on track. And that's what you can. That's what recovery is. It's just keep getting back on track until you get it right. It's just, this is a lifelong disease and journey. It really is. And you'll never be able to pick up again, because when you do, it's just going to take you right back to square one. And you fought too hard for that.
And you're always going to hear those stories, where somebody pulled it off and did it, They may very well be true, but I'll tell you, they're very few and far between. The odds are severely stacked against that working for you, trust me.
Yeah.
And I tend to wonder about some of these stories, the validity to them.
Yep.
Yeah, well, it's amazing that they
They can do it more, God bless them. But
Yeah.
I
And
don't see it
again,
often.
nope. And again, everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their own journey, and everybody has their own path to get to that journey. And as long as it's keeping you alive, and as long as you can function in society and do well for yourself and help others out there, then that's your path to recovery. And I just pray that you can stay on it and you find the help that you need. And like Michelle says here, where'd you go? Give back what was freely given to me. Keep me humble and kind. And that's what it's about. It's about, becoming a person that can help the next person. Because everybody out there in recovery had somebody help them get to where they are. And that is so important, to find that person.
Hello, Eric. See you're out there now. Glad you can make it. Hello.
Eric is in the house.
Hello, Eric. I got a couple little ditties I'm going to combine here. It's like things at risk to our sobriety and letting go of victimhood. Well, things at risk, especially the beginning for me, it was like you hear the people, places, and things thing, and And it is. I'm early in recovery. You know, I didn't go anywhere. I didn't do anything. I had no family, no friends. I stayed in the house. The only time I went out was to meetings because, you know, just because I was early in sobriety, I wasn't really confident in myself. And, well, I hardly ever went to bars. So bars were out of it. But just going to a restaurant, you know, 99% of the restaurants have a bar, at least the ones I went to. And depending on who I went, you know, who I would go with, or even worse, go by myself. You know, how many times could I go to a place like that and see the people drinking, see the people having a good time, and having that, yeah, I think I can do this too for the night. And, you know, whatever I built up, I would totally ruin in one night or 2 nights. And then I start, you know, getting angry at myself. And just like I told about that story earlier about that person I know, you know, feel I'm the victim now. Everybody's against me. I tried this, but it didn't work. And I tried that, and it didn't work. But did you really try? Did you really, you know, I can look myself in the eye and say, yeah, I really tried, but it took me a second time to do it before, you know, I got, you know, cut the victimhood and do what needs to be done. You know, a lot of us, in alcohol and addiction, whatever you want to call it, yeah, we know what we have to do, and sometimes it's hard for some people than others, but we know what we have to do. We need what has to be done, and the discipline of doing it is the hardest part. The hardest part, especially if that pink cloud thing, or whatever it takes, 3 weeks, 3 years, it doesn't matter, and then it comes down to like, well, here it is. Here's the game plan. This is what you have to do. This is what I had to do to stay sober, to be where I am today. I'm a much better person than I was 7 years ago. I wasn't a helpless drunk who people didn't like me, and I didn't blame them for not liking me. You know, I was hopeless, and I shared this too. Even my sponsor thought I wasn't going to make it. You know, even he, along with my best friend, my cousin, who really was the turning point in my life, who got me in the Living Grin, who, you know, was the last person who said, he's going to fail, he's going to fall, he's going to, you know, I got to help him. He's my cousin, I have to help him. So he got me, you know, into Living Grin and stuck with me and my sponsor. And even both of them, you know, didn't think, because of my past history, that, you know, this is only going to last a little while, and he'll be drinking again. Well, so far so good, and they're amazed, and at times I'm amazed. But compared to where I was and the reasons or excuses I used to drink, you know, anything under the sun, it got to the point where I didn't even need excuses anymore. I just drank because I knew I was an alcoholic. I was a hopeless, and I was going to die an alcoholic. And just that one conversation turned things around, and plus doing the work that needs to be done. I can't stress that more or harder or however you want to call it. There's work to be done. You have to do the work. No matter how frustrating it gets, because it gets frustrating at times too, and it gets aggravating. It's, why do I have to do this? I have to do this the rest of my life. Yeah, but in the end, it's like once that compulsion to drink starts to fade away, and you realize you can have a life without a bottle. I can have a life without a bottle or a can, or, you know, whether I stick something in my nose or inhale it in my lungs. I can have a life without it. Without it. And things are good now. You know, it's like people helped me open my eyes, and then I got down to the work that needed to be done. Now I want to pass that feeling on to other people who are willing to listen.
Right.
Like I said with that one person, you know, you try to give advice and get blocked every sentence, but you can't worry about that. You know, you can't dwell on it. You just got to. One has to do what needs to be done.
Michelle I recently came to hear that people aren't sure what the difference is between agnostic and atheist. That confusion can hinder the idea of a power greater than myself.
Yeah, well,
You're a resident expert. What's your spin?
I'm not an expert on anything. It's just I take the more agnostic thing. It's just finding sobriety and a better life without a spiritual connection, without a God. But, as far as any kind of spiritual connection, what was ever was feeling in me is like, what got me to all of a sudden change my mind? Some people use the God word. Some people say, it was a spiritual connection. I don't know. I tell people I don't dissect it because I don't care. All I know is I got here and I'm in a better spot than I was before. And I go to traditional meeting Monday, Wednesday, Friday every morning, and they say the Lord's Prayer and all that stuff. That doesn't bother me, and they know how I feel. I'm not anti-religion. It's just that I'm anti-extremist. There are extremes on both sides. That's like, I've been to meetings where everything was God, 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 or nothing at all, no kind of spiritual connection or anything like that. I've been to both sides of the fence, and I don't like the extremes of one side or the other. I'm pretty much down the middle, and and work the program. Work the program once I felt that whatever it was, it sparked me to work that program. Like I said, I don't dissect it. I just appreciated it came into my life, and there you go. That's pretty much all I can say about that.
Yeah. Well, Barb says, well, can I say I'm struggling now? Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely, and that's what you have to say. You have to reach out to whoever it is that is helping you. You have to reach out to them and say, I'm struggling. And first of all, what are you struggling with? And then play out the tape. If I do this, what's going to happen? If I do that, what's going to happen? Why am I struggling? What's causing me to struggle? But look at those things and see what the problem is there. And I know it's going to be tough because you're early in recovery. You are coming up on, drinking season, all the barbecues and, swim parties.
Going
to the shore, going to concerts. Like, that's all, drink related.
Going to church, they got that wine and the body of Christ thing.
Wine and wafers, yeah.
But and that's where you have to put it in black and white. Like, what is causing my struggle? What can I do different to step back and get rid of that struggle? And like they say, you're driving down the street, the same street that you drove every day, and there's the same liquor store that you would go in to get that bottle. Well, what other route can you take home that you're not passing that? Take another route, take another, way home so that you're not sitting in that, thing that got you to where you are. People, places, things. We have to change that up every now. She says, I know what it is. Just life struggles. But I know what to do. Excellent. And that's what you need to do. And,
That's the tools in your toolbox. Mm-hmm. You're pulling them out and you're using them.
Yeah.
You know what to do.
Yep, and here
great.
we are.
That's awesome.
Yep, here we are.
And you're brave enough to bring it up and talk about it,
Yep.
and admit to it.
Exactly.
You got to tap the problem there, just admitting you got the problem.
Right, and that's what helps the next person. That's what helps the next person see, okay, I can say that, and I know that people will reach out to me and say, what's going on? What's your problem? What are you struggling with? And this is living life on life's terms, and life's terms suck. They really, truly do. It's a matter of how you're going to get past that life without the bottle. And, again, play out the tape. If I do this, this is what's going to happen. If I do that, that's what's going to happen. If I stay here, then I know it will pass and I will get stronger with it. So each step that you take, getting over that hump, you get that day stronger. So always reach out and say, I'm struggling.
And,
Definitely.
and Rex will always be in our hearts. The silverback. Mm-hmm. Cheers. We miss him
Play
too.
that tape through is a good idea too, because people tend to stay right there, and they're stuck in that moment. You know, they realize. You know, I realized that. Okay, I know all this up to here, and if I just pause a minute and think about what the next few hours or minutes are going to be, I know what's going to happen, and reaching out is very important. Because once, you know, I talked in the beginning, I talked to my sponsor every day. I called him every day, and if I miss a day or two, he would call me and say, "What's going on? How come you haven't called me?" So he kept me in line, and you know, and I learned that when things got, you know, a little hairy, and if I was struggling, I could call somebody. And as far as socially, you know, when I finally decided to go out to places and all, I went with my family. I went with my children mostly, you know, even concerts or even going out to dinner for a birthday party or something, because they knew the situation I was in. So that was kind of a safeguard for me too. There's no way I'm going to sneak a drink or get all squirrely and about, you know, having a drink or thinking about a drink, because they were there, they were watching me, and I needed that. I needed that help. I needed that, you know, somebody there to, you know, hold my hand and say, no, Larry, don't even think about that. Even when we had, I think it was my daughter's birthday, we went out to a restaurant, we had champagne toast, and my son grabbed it and said, no, you're not drinking it. So I grabbed it and said, look, I'm going to toast, and then you can have it. And I did. I toasted, hello, yeah, happy birthday. I put it down, he drank it. But it was just the idea of having a safeguard with me. And they would ask me questions, we were out, and they wanted to know because they concerned. They loved me. They're concerned, and they knew it was, you know, the path I was on to try to recover, or on my path to recovery. Not that we ever really recover 100%. We just stay on that path. But you know,
It's a
they
disease
can
that's easily
relax.
managed.
Yeah.
It's never cured.
yeah,
Right.
they can relax now. We went on vacation. You know, they went down to walk around. I could have snuck out and had a couple of drinks and stuff like that, but I didn't because. And the thing was the trust. They knew now that, you know, I wasn't going to drink. And if there's any kind of temptation, that they're a phone call away.
Right.
And never let it go.
Right.
Never think I have it made.
Nope.
Never.
And even as we sit and talk alcohol, it's a substance. Whether it's a drug, whether it's alcohol, it's a substance. It's a mind-altering substance.
Yeah.
So this goes either way, whether you're picking up, you know, heroin, whether you're picking up alcohol. It's a substance that changes your mind and your perspective.
Even cigarettes. If you haven't smoked, like I haven't smoked only 20-something years, I am scared to death to take a puff of a cigarette for fear of I'll end up smoking again. And I know
Yes.
I will. And that's like 20 years ago. But I have no desire. I know exactly what's going to happen, man. And I'd be a slave to them friggin' things again.
Yep.
And it doesn't have to be just about alcohol, because that was my poison.
Addiction
and you
is
can pick
addiction.
anything, yeah. Pick your poison, because you know,
Yep.
it's out there and it's waiting for you. And especially, you know, you dabbled in it before, like I had with the drink, and waiting for, and it's always there waiting for that slip.
I had that problem with midget porn for years. I still can't look at a little person. I got to turn away and walk on the other side of the street for fear of temptation.
Yeah. Eric says, I sure as hell know I was sober and suffering, and if it weren't for some of the people that I have never met face to face that helped me, I don't know where I'd be today, truthfully. Well, thanks, Eric. You're so sweet. We have a group that, you know, we're always there for each other.
Right.
Yeah, and we became a virtual family. Like, it's, you know, we talk, and when we're struggling, we can reach out and talk to them. We've never I have met 3 people so far. Was hoping to meet Eric, but you know, He's old, so he's got to stay in Ohio. He can't come and see us. But maybe one day we'll get out to see Eric. But that, it's awesome to, have people that you can talk to. And me being on the other side of this, to have the output and, the help from those that have been through it. And it's just amazing what recovery brings to your life. It really is. It's really cool.
Yeah, and on both sides. When I go to the family meeting, I hear their stories and all. Stories, I keep saying at the meeting, I said it 1,000 times, Yes, I know I hurt family and friends.
I read that, Barb, before you canceled it. I got you again. And yes, they're the toughest on each other. People in addiction, they don't use the kind words. I mean, and that's pretty common. I mean, us on the outside have to use the nice language, the unhurtful language. But people in addiction, alcoholics, and people with drug issues, they have a tendency to use the hurtful language.
Hurtful language and F-bombs and all, and
Yeah.
even when they're it's recovery,
they'll use the junkie word, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the drunk word. Like they don't use the substance use disorder issue.
Yeah, well,
Which-
I'm not much. I call it with the way it is too.
Right, but
I don't
we
sugarcoat
have to use
anything.
the proper language because of the circles we're in.
Yeah.
It gives us a level of professionalism.
They have to. I don't.
I
Not that
don't.
I foul mouth.
I use it.
I don't
to
foul
some
mouth
extent.
it, but
I'm not even saying the foul
yeah,
mouth
I know.
part, but-
Yeah, and I learned through the family meetings how I hurt these people, their feelings too, not just my feelings through recovery and how I was hurt or how I hurt myself or whatever angle you want to use. But I hear about the hurt and the suffering and the desperation that these other people go through because they're struggling with a loved one who's has a problem. Just because I'm talking about alcohol doesn't mean it's just alcohol. Like you pick like anything you want, anything that you're addicted to that's struggling and hurting other people. That's what I talk about too. I
Yeah.
just happen to use alcohol because that was my poison.
Yes, and we always have to remember that, we have two things going on here. We have, we need to prepare ourselves for the worst case scenario, but we have to hold on to that hope. And that's why we have people that come on here that have also lost somebody that can be just as helpful and hopeful for those that have lost somebody. We just had a couple losses, and they're struggling right now. The family's struggling, and did I do the right thing? What could I have done differently? You've done everything that you could have done at the time. It's nothing that you did. It's just the effects of what the hell is out there today. And what is out there today is not good. And, it's important to know that there are people out there that are willing to help those that have lost somebody. We need to keep their names out there to show that they are still with us and hopefully help the next person that may be struggling to get back into the recovery process or start the recovery process. And,
It's a great point Barb makes down there about her daughter. Barb's on a better note. She goes, I didn't realize how much my daughter loved me and wants me around. That's because you're a different Barb now. When you're deep in the throes of your addiction, people don't see the sense of sharing that with you because they wouldn't even know if you even cared about it, because, as someone with a dependency like that, we become more self-centered. People that think all we care about is ourselves.
The frustration of it all
And
too.
so they're not going to share that wanting and that needing of you because they don't think you're going to accept it, or be able to accept it. I don't know what we're looking for. Now you're seeing these different things that are all happening, all as a result of your embracing your recovery. People are acting different around you. They're treating you different. They're more trust. They're trusting with their grandchildren. They want to share not intimate, but like personal experiences with you and stuff. And all now we're like, those conversations weren't taking place for a long time. But, you know, now you're a different person, and they feel they can warm up and get close to you, and have that normal relationship with their mother. It really, as corny as it sounds, it's the truth.
All the corny things sound, you know, till you look at them and read them and live them, then they're not so corny anymore. One day at a time, that kind of stuff too. And now too, especially, you know, back before this came into existence, you know, the peer pressure was talking one-on-one. Now, you don't have to talk, you just go on the phone and text somebody, and they're pressuring to do something that they're going to regret later. And yeah, that makes it an even harder, I think it makes it even a harder thing to, you know, come back, because it's right there, and you don't have that one-on-one look in the eye type of thing. Whether you know, it's in recovery or in it, or, you know, being, I don't want to say forced, but being coerced into getting high again, getting drunk again, you know, and they'll do anything from a compliment to a put down. What are you, sissy? Hey, you can't drink anymore? Come on. Yeah, you've been clean as well. You could do one. You could take one hit. You could do one snort in the nose. You could have one bottle.
Are we still allowed to use the word sissy, or is that outlawed too?
Well, it's
don't
not
know.
what I want to use, but
Okay.
you know,
He's trying to be
Trying to be nice.
which is hardly
for this family show.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't sugarcoat it. Like, you know, it is what it is. It's, you know, it's a horrible disease, and, you know, we have to understand that our loved ones are out there and seeing and hearing things that, you know, change their whole demeanor. And it is what it is. You know? You can say shit on here.
Okay. So I have to use the word poo poo
No, you don't have to use
or
poo-poo.
potty mouth.
Takes me back as a kid. The first time I heard the word doggy do. Didn't know what the guy's talking about. I mean, dog shit. I mean, I was only like 6.
There's another
Yes.
one. What specifically surprised you about your recovery? It's my recovery. Yeah, it's surprising that, you know, I've gone this long, and I have a whole different attitude about recovery. That's just a surprising thing. Is, you know,
More
to the
water,
work-
buddy?
I'm all right.
I'll make a trip.
All right, if you feel like it, yeah.
Okay.
Now, the voice in your head, that's another one too. That's the one that says, stick with the program, you're working it, or, see, you got this, you can have a drink. You know, what voice is in your head? What voices were in my head?
Yeah.
They changed from one to the other. And it went from I can handle it to no, I can't handle it. And stick with the program. Got to do it.
Yeah. And that's step 1, Barb. You know?
The
Yeah.
powerless.
I was mean as a, I'm going to say bitch, because that's what, you know,
Yeah.
but an alcoholic. And that has a lot to do with hitting that receptor. Some people can be funny and fun-loving, you know, and some can be nasty and mean. Some people can drink beer and be a fun drunk, and others can take whiskey and become the meanest, most horrible drunk. Like, that is, you know, everybody's chemistry is different. Everybody reacts differently. And, you know, we just have to understand, like, what I've learned in the meetings I attend, that it's not personal, it's not against
Thank you.
us. It is the drug or the alcohol talking. However, it still sits with us. But we have to understand that it wasn't meant to be. Yeah, you're gonna react because they're calling you out on it. You know, they're not talking to you in a, you know, calm manner. They're pissed off because you drank again, and you know, you keep saying you're gonna stop and you don't, and now you feel like you're being attacked, so you attack back, and that's, you know, that's what it is. It's we as a family have to, you know, remember that this is the reaction. And when you feel like you are being attacked, you're going to attack back. And that's why Smart Recovery is pretty awesome for the family members to learn how to talk to your loved one and know when not to talk to them, know when to walk away, and know when to re-engage. That is the most important thing, that you remember that. It's nothing against you, it's just their reaction.
It's the nature of the beast. And people, we have a phone number. If you want to call in, you have something to say.
267-737-8031. We are listening.
We can put you live and on the air.
Yep. Eric says, I was a fun drunk, but my idea of fun wasn't normal. Yeah, you know, fun drunks are also annoying drunks, you know. There's all levels of people that use a substance, whether it's drugs or alcohol. There's all different levels of fun, and there's different levels
You
of
hear that
annoying.
analogy a lot, the fun drunk thing, and
Yeah.
a lot of times it brings you out of your shell, and you
Good night,
become
Stace.
the center of attention, and
Congratulations.
and we like that. You know, I've heard that a lot. He was a fun drunk, you know, because you got the fun drunk, then you got the crying drunk, then you got the want to beat up the world drunks. You know, everybody reacts differently.
Yeah. I sank down the tubes. Yeah, I was the fun drunk. Well, I used to have fun when I was drinking, and until it got worse and worse, and then argumentative, self-pity, and isolation. And I chose isolation, and other people chose it for me too.
Yeah.
Don't want to associate with him again. Well, here he comes. God, what's going to happen tonight? And
Right.
and
And then
never could.
Right, and then you start realizing you're not getting asked to come to barbecues or parties or social events anymore.
Because somebody's going to set you off, and
And you know, that's the realization of this disease.
let me tell you something else that does that. It's just funny. It just struck me. And these people are so wrapped up in politics. They're kind of treated some of the same. Like, I'm not inviting him to the party because he's going to bring that up.
Oh yeah.
All he's going to do is start knocking this one and praising that. I just don't put up with it. Because that gets everybody all fired up. Like, it's just, it's
Yeah.
funny, the similarity there. You know
Yeah,
what I
a
mean?
couple
Like,
times we get that at it or in-person meeting. Somebody will drop a line about this person or that person, and
a time and place for
if
everything.
you disagree, you know, it's like if I don't like that person, we'll say, or this political party or whatever. Sometimes it's all I can do to bite my tongue. It's all I can do. I hear this stuff, I'm going like, shut up, Blair, shut up, Blair, shut up, Blair. Yeah.
and I
'Cause I'm
just
not
go
here
in
for
and
that.
jab them.
Yeah, yeah. And it's, you know, it gets to the point because if I open my mouth, I know where it's going to lead to. It's going to lead to back and forth. And I'm here at an AA meeting. I'm not here at a political forum.
Right,
And
and that's why we don't discuss
But things
politics.
can just so easily go off the rails.
oh yeah, that religion. Oh please.
That and religion.
Yeah, that
You know.
Don't talk to me about it. You have your beliefs, I have mine. How you feel about this party, that person, this religion, you know. And I don't want to hear it. Because 9 times out of 10, I'm probably going to have the opposite opinion, and it's just going, to lead to an unpleasant
Yeah.
situation. And it's not why I'm here. I'm not here to talk here. Like at the meeting, it's about recovery or what we're reading about in a big book, or there's 12 steps or the traditions or whatever, and we talk about that. You don't talk about this party, that person, this guy, that guy, or because it tends to get really nuts.
And that's why it's so important when you are in these meetings, if you're not spiritually connected or religious, you just have to look at it in a different way. Like when I first started coming into this, I first started with Al-Anon, and I just couldn't connect because that was not what I was there for. My loved one had a substance of drug use, and it just didn't resonate with me because I couldn't change alcohol to drug. Like in my head, I couldn't do it. And that's when you have to really just sit back and listen and in your mind say, okay, it's a substance. Instead of putting alcohol, instead of putting drug, put substance. And hear the word substance. So instead of hearing God, hear spiritual or whatever resonates with you during these meetings. And that's how it got me to, when I'm reading something on recovery, that's how I would get into the learning, was adding it, putting in substance instead of drugs or alcohol.
So if you have an alcohol use disorder and a political opinion disorder, that makes you double annoying.
Thank you. Yeah, it is crazy, but talk about the spiritual end of it too. Like I said in the big book too, it's not about a guide, but it's about a spiritual awakening. It's about how I feel like when I had that moment where I just gave up, I surrendered and I decided I'm going to work on this. Hey, I don't know what got me there, and I'm not going to point out that it was this, it was that, it was this. I don't know what it was.
Right.
I don't care what it was. It was what it was, and it got me where I'm going and where I am now. And, like I mentioned earlier, some people have their, what they think got them there, and other people have different opinions. But getting there is the thing.
Yeah.
Getting there is the journey. Getting to work on oneself. Getting to change one life. Get the people who love you and back in your life. That's the bottom line. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, what entity, whatever it was, got you here. It got you here, so don't dwell on it. Just keep working it.
And Eric says, I hated hearing the words, do you know what you did? And no, you probably don't. And the one course that I was taking, they said, what we do as loved ones is we clean up the mess before they even wake up. And they wake up and the mess is gone because you cleaned it up, so that you were pissed off and you didn't want to have to deal with it. So when you wake up and the mess is cleaned up, no, I don't know what I did. Like, it couldn't have been that bad because I don't see nothing. And that's when you have to leave it.
Yeah.
And leave it for that person to clean up. Like, that is, in your face,
I think it means a lot, your behavior, what you did. I mean, not individual
Well,
type
people feel
actions,
people too.
but just what you did. I mean, you tore the family apart and this and that, and coming home there. It's not necessarily an isolated incident, but your behavior in a nutshell. And people just love to throw shit in people's faces. I mean, and bring it up. It's a vengeance type thing. I mean, for the hurt you impose on them and all, but it's really not doing any good or for the better. And unfortunately, it's a defense mechanism people have. I mean.
Right, and when you're looking at somebody that's in early recovery, especially, or even long-term recovery, we have the tendency to, bring up the past all the time. And bringing up the past is not helping them move forward. bringing up the past as you're never going to let this go. Why am I trying so hard? Why am I doing this? That could lead them right back to where they don't want to be. But
Oh, yeah.
because you won't allow them to move forward, why should I?
Lead digging up old shit to the archaeologists, okay?
Yeah.
That's my prolific statement of
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
Well, people have mentioned a couple times. I remember when you did this and that. But now I'm at the point where, yeah, I did it, but it doesn't bother me. I don't dwell on it anymore.
Right.
Sometimes it might, hurt a little, but yeah, I did do that. But I don't
But that's
revisit
not who-
revisit
Right.
it.
And
Yeah.
that's not who I am today.
But that's very, very rare. Usually it's a comical moment. But
Yeah.
that was then. This is now.
So we have 15 minutes left, guys. If anybody is out there struggling, wants to ask a question in the comments, if you cannot comment, please feel free to call in on the call line. It is right there on the screen, and we will be happy to share our experiences with you, share some suggestions that you do not have to take, but we can share what helped us. So, we have
Yeah.
15 minutes left, so feel free. Anything else you want to share with us, Larry?
No, the first call's toll free. So so hurry up while the offer is so.
267-737-8031. Call in on our hotline, America.
Well, I don't know.
And our friends on the other side of the pond that are out there, they haven't commented for a while. How you
Yes, we have. We were actually talking to somebody from Portugal. I think it was Portugal. And I actually had to use my interpreter app to talk with them. It was kind of cool. Eric, is that Peter Gabriel shirt?
Now this Ramstein, or my first day at rehab, whatever you want to call it.
Rammstein.
Rammstein.
German
Du
metal
hast
band.
mich.
Very intense. Yeah, Rammstein.
I'm trying to think of what happened the other day at the meeting, but it's not. It's back here, and I can't do the Three Stooges thing and bring it up. But the messes we create. There's another one too. That's another goodie too, and especially ones we don't realize we made, especially in our drunken stupors and blackouts and that's why you were bringing it up earlier about bringing up the past. Well, some people I know, they actually film that person. Like, you were at this party, you were so damn obnoxious, and look at and look, this is what you did. Oh, you tell them first, I didn't do that. I couldn't have done that. I'm not that type. Then they show them the evidence. It's like, wow, I did do that. And,
I'm glad I got all my crazy drinking out of the way before cell phones.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Well, it could
I'd
be.
never be able to run for public office. Not that I would.
But, it could be a help. Depends on how that person takes it, too.
Right.
There's a person, how dare they do that to me? They embarrass me. No, you embarrassed yourself. This was just, people showing you how crazy you got, how out of hand you've got, how your blackout was. And, they don't do it to hurt you. They do it to help you.
Right.
9 times out of 10, of course, there's always that nitwit that likes to,
Yeah, that's a
Make it look
double-edged
like an
sword
ass,
there
yeah.
too. Because we're very against people filming people in their throes of addiction down in Kensington
Yeah.
and stuff. For and then they broadcast it for hits on YouTube, and then down the road, should that person find recovery and turn their life around, they don't want that to resurface.
Yeah.
I
And,
mean, that's very shameful and
yeah.
very hurtful. I mean, just about to get some laughs so people can laugh at it. That's horse shit.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
some
But that
stuff
really
on
sets me
Facebook
off.
too that has Kensington Avenue.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and it's like you see the people, and some of them are dipping, some of them they're homeless or whatever, and it's like, I don't know how to take that. It's like, well, what good is it going to do? Maybe some people who don't understand would look at it and try to understand, or they're going to be very hateful and belligerent about it too. Because they see that it's no good. they're not doing anything to help themselves. Let them stay there.
And-
Send them away could go.
Right, and we have family members that, like, will videotape their loved one, dipped out or overdosed, and show them, this
in
is
hopes
this
of it
was
making
you.
an impact on
And
which
and it doesn't. It really
It-
it doesn't
the-
help. It may
the
help
opposite
you
effect.
that you are showing them. It may help you at the time, but it doesn't help our loved one get any better. It just, but I'm here, so leave me alone. Or, well, why did you save me? I didn't want to be saved. Because that's one of the biggest things is, when they're so deep in their addiction and they don't see a way out. A lot of times it gets to the point where I just don't want to be here. Why are you saving me? But every life is worth saving because you never know what moment that aha moment hits and you start doing the recovery process. You're always needing to be there and helping them out of that. There's so many, and I think a lot of it's changing now, where the emergency services are like, I am tired of going to the same house or the same location for the same person. They're not getting it. They'll never get it. You never know when they'll get it. And we hope that they get it before the worst case scenario. And, that's so important that we do what we can to save them.
And from a medical responder's viewpoint, which I'm just guessing, I don't know for a fact, they have to be thinking, they're taking us away from the heart attack patients and this patient that are suffering, and we're out here wasting our time with you, where we're going to see you again an hour from now doing the same thing again. And I kind of see their point, but it's not a point to take. People aren't in their right mind. Like I've always said, I mean, when you look at people in the throes of addiction making these poor decisions over and over again, I always had to stress that you're looking at it with a healthy brain. They are not operating with a healthy brain. They're not thinking in the same parameters that you and I are. So their actions make absolutely no sense to us. So you always got to remember that. I mean, you can't take that mindset. Oh, they don't care. I should be on a different call. I mean, you got to save them until they, like I said, till somebody they get that aha moment, that epiphany, and they decide to embrace their recovery. And it does happen. It comes out of nowhere sometimes. Like, holy shit! When did they do this complete about face?
Yeah,
it's just something that happened.
Yep.
Just got to keep them alive long enough that they can get that aha moment.
Yeah, well, it was when you mentioned like the emergency people, and I saw one guy was walking. I forget where I was going, but I was walking down the street headed for someplace, and this guy was all to that. He's rolling around and all, and I'm looking at him going like, I called 911. The ambulance came, and they knew the guy. They said, "Oh, hi," whatever his name was. Back at it again. It's like, what happened this time? And he was drunk, and I seen this person a couple times. One day he looks okay, and then the next day he doesn't look so hot.
Mm-hmm.
And the one day, I called 911. He was out of it, lying on the ground, and it's amazing.
I have another story to make fun of it, but I can relate to that.
Night Barb, before we go, I just want to share this out to everybody, and you might be interested, Barb. You're invited to join us on retreat. Matt Talbot, Women's Retreat Group, number W49, September 13th through the 15th, 2024, Malvern Retreat House at 3315 South Warren Ave, Malvern, PA, Retreat Director. And registration is open and spots are filling up. I will put this on Living Hopeful's page so that you can check it out and see if maybe you might be interested in that. It is a woman's retreat, so I'll put that in there. And check it out. You may want to look into that and maybe become a part of it. So, check it out on my Living Hopeful page on Facebook.
Okay, I'm gonna come up with one more thing. It's acceptance. One has to, I had to realize that I had the problem, and I had to accept that I needed help. And sometimes, it's hard to look oneself in the mirror and say, you have a problem, you need help, you need to get help, you need to go, do what needs to be done. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's hard to do. I don't think I'm an alcoholic. I think I can handle this. I don't need any help. I can go 2 days without drinking, so I can't be an alcoholic. Yeah, okay, if you think that. But can you go 2 months? Can you go 2 years? Can you go the rest of your life without totally getting smashed? Without knowing and realizing that the program is going to help you. Hey, some people can handle it. Most can't, from what I've seen, because I only see alcoholics. I see people who had, finally surrendered and accepted the fact that they need help. I needed help, and I'll still need help. Always need help. I might be a little confident today, but not cocky. But there are times when I share, and I have a question about myself, what I think is, what's bothering me. How come I feel this way? And 9 times out of 10, I'll get an answer from somebody who's in the program. Yes, I felt that way, and this is what I did. Mm-hmm. But, if you don't accept the situation, it doesn't matter what the rest of it is. It just doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else matters.
No. So 5 minutes, guys. Just remember that, you need to keep reaching out. That's what's going to get you to where you need to be and where you need to stay. And they say it's an easy program. It's just what you have to put into it. You need to learn how to, reach out and ask for help. And that can be probably the hardest thing that you can do is ask for help. It's not easy. Knowing that you need to ask for help. Yep. So,
life's ours for the making. Eternity's waiting for you and me. That's the Moody Blues, and it's so true. What we do, our life is for the making. We do what we make. So, you make what you make out of your life, because once you're gone, hey, you're gone forever. You're not coming back.
Nope.
So, do the best you can. Live the best life one can live. Mm-hmm. It took me a long time to realize that, but I'm trying my best now, and I'm doing things now that I haven't done in years. Mm-hmm. Because of my drinking, my lack of any kind of education on how to stop it, what I need to do, surrendering. That's another one too. It doesn't work if you don't work it, as somebody said. I heard it somewhere. I can't remember where, but
yeah.
But but that's the truth.
See, that's patience right there. I didn't comment.
Yes.
Yet. Yeah.
So we will be back here next Friday from 9 to 10:30. I believe we will be having another guest, which is Bob Matthews. He will be here. And Wednesday night, this coming Wednesday, is the family parent group at Living Grin. If you are in the Lower Bucks area, look up Living Grin, Ben Salem, and you will see the information there.
Come out. It's fun. It's friendly, and it's free.
Yes.
Well, I have a first timer coming too. Somebody.
Good.
Oh, that's awesome.
Said she's going to come. We'll see.
Yeah. But it's a place that you can come and talk. It's a place where you can feel free to share what you're feeling, and it be, a place where you could do it. You're not judged. You're not made fun of or anything. So, and it is a place that you could talk knowing that it doesn't leave that room. So, with that being said, everybody have a great week. Happy Friday, and we will see you again here.
Thanks for having me. I
next
appreciate
Larry,
it.
you're always welcome here.
Thank
We always
you.
love to have Larry. We're blessed to have him in our
Yes.
inner circle.
Thank you so much, Lara, for sharing
Really,
your
buddy. Thank you very much.
story and your experience.
So
It
part of
helps
the
so
program.
many. Yep.
And like always, remember, recovery works if you work it.
Peace out, everybody.
Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in.